Hey guys, it's Carrie with Alice Eats the Apple. I have an awesome show for you today. My guests are phenomenal, unlike anyone I've ever met. And when you hear their story, your jaw will hit the floor just like mine did. I have Miss M and M, and they are two folks, regular folk like you and me, not really, here to help usher in this new world that we have heard so much about, and I get glimpses here and there of things going on in our media and our government. It's this group, the White Hats. So they have come together and they use their psychic abilities, their off-planet experiences, their counsels. Well, here, let me tell you a little bit about Miss M. The divine Miss M, world-renowned psychic medium and oracle for the Earth liberation movement. Miss M has worked exclusively on global transformation as an interdimensional telepath, remote viewer, and psychic intuitive, relaying mission critical information to the liberation from on the ground as a liaison to the Lemurian Council and Galactic High Council. I mean, that's like a mic drop right there. Also, so to tell you a little bit about him, he is just this fabulous, brilliant man who has complete access to both sides of his brain. And he I don't even know where to start with him. He's worked at the Pentagon. He's worked putting in systems, implementing systems, I hope I have that right, for many companies that you know about. And he is now doing this. He's now helping create new systems for our new world, basically. So without further ado, let me introduce Mr. and Ms. M. Actually, it's not really Mr. and Ms. M, it's M and Ms. M. So I am going to start by, first I want to know your story. How did you two meet? We're just going to dive
in. Okay. Well,
we have Miss M to thank for that.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the journey of us meeting started about 6 years ago when my father was dying of cancer, and I was introduced to a psychic medium to have a reading. I wanted to tell my dad, who was waiting for him on the other side, so that he could let go, because he was suffering a tremendous amount. And somehow spending time around this gentleman activated me. His frequency activated me. It's like once my body knew what it felt like to connect with spirit, then I was able to match it. And so the more and more time I spent around him, the more and more connected I became, the more kind of like turned on I became. Like the faucet just turned on all the way, and it was a full steady stream instead of these little like drips of magic that were coming through like throughout my early life. And so about a year into knowing this gentleman, is when it really activated, and it was very intense for me. I was working as a hairdresser in the Bay Area at the time, and so I was touching people all day long, and that was really intense. And of course, when they came to their appointments, so did all of their loved ones, and so I got a full house in there, and it was just really too much for me. And when I had met this medium, he told me I could do what he could do, and that eventually that would be what I did. And I didn't believe him, not in a million years did I think that I would have these like superpowers, but I wanted them. I always believed in magic. And so when this happened, he said, "You're going to think you're going crazy, but you're not, and I want you to call me. I'm going to help you." And so, of course, I did think I was going crazy, because I was on this like emotional roller coaster, and I was hearing voices in my head, and I was smelling things that weren't there. And so I finally reached out to him, and because I was like, okay, either I'm crazy or this guy can help me, and I'd rather try him first before labeling myself crazy. So I called him up, and he said, "You need to meditate, And you need to get these crystals, and you need to start grounding, and you need to learn how to protect yourself and how to shut it off when you don't want to use it. So I decided to meditate for the first time that day. Now, I had been meditating my whole life. I just didn't know that's what it was. But this is the first time I sat down to, like, with intention to meditate, and I had no idea what I was doing. And so I went and I just laid in my bed, and I, like, had my arms out to the side, and I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm meditating. And all of a sudden, this bright white light shines out of my right eye, and then my left eye, and then it comes out of the center, and it's like, boom, and I'm, like, pinned to the bed. And all of a sudden, I'm outside. I'm floating around in my backyard. I can see the ground beneath me, and I freaked out. So I'm like, whew, and I fell back into my body because I got scared, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that unsupervised. So that night, I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was one of those nights where you wake up into a dream and into a dream and into a dream over and over again. And so this is on the third time I wake up, and it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, but my whole room is lit up like the sun. It's illuminated, and I can feel the heat of it on my skin. And I know that I'm awake because when I close my eyes, I'm on a beach. I'm laying on a beach, and the sun's shining on me. But when I open them, I'm in my bedroom, and it's lit up. And so I focus my eyes, and all of a sudden lights go out, and I see 3 beings standing in the corner of my bedroom. It was 2 men, very tall, and a woman. They all looked very old, and they were wearing these, like, really strange robes with this, fabric that I hadn't seen here on the planet. And they communicated with me telepathically, and they said, "Come with us." And when they beckoned to me, I rose up out of my body, and I followed them out of my house. And I was really distracted because my hands were lit up, like the palms of my hands were lit up like this sun. And I'm floating around my house, and I'm turning the lights on with my hands. And so I'm following them. We get to the back door, and we go out the back door, and there's a shuttle in my backyard, but it looks kind of like a train car. It's like a train car for 4 people, and like a mini subway car. And we hop on board this thing, and doors close, and we take off. And after that, my memory went, because it was pretty crazy. And but over the next few years, my memory of what had happened started coming back. So they took me underground into, like, the inner earth, and we went into this cavernous room, and they sat behind a stone slab, and they told me, this is what you're going to do. This is what you were born for. This is why you're on the planet. And it involved me quitting my life, walking away from my friends of, like, decades, and family of 9 siblings, and not being able to tell anybody where I'm going, what I'm doing. Everyone's going to think you're crazy. You're going to lose everything, but we need you to do this because you're going to help save the world. And I'm like, no freaking way. No way am I doing this.
Small task.
Yeah. And so I for a long time, I denied my mission. I wouldn't do it. And so they kept taking me. And finally they said, okay, this is getting ridiculous. Like, we need you to remember who you are. And so they started me on a journey of, like, this, like, psychic detective journey of remembering my past. And they were sending me books. I would find a book, and they would say, flip to this page, read this page, listen to this podcast, stop it right here, listen to this part. It led to me discovering my name written inside, or my birthday written inside sealed chambers inside the Great Pyramid. And it was this very long process. And I worked with multiple psychics and doctors that studied reincarnation to validate these previous personalities that they were showing me, because they were pretty significant historical figures, and I just couldn't really, like, accept that. I was like, this is insane. All of this is crazy. And so just throughout my research, I found a book that had 3 of the previous personalities of myself depicted on the cover, and he wrote it. And so I bought it and opened it up, and there was our story inside.
So did you just, I mean, so what did you think? Did you reach out? Obviously, you reached out to him. I mean, here you are. But
Yeah.
how did that, oh, by the way, hi, it's me that you wrote about. I mean, how did that go?
She antagonized me a little bit to get my attention.
Me.
She was like, your story's close, but it's not quite right.
I'm like, you forgot something. Me.
Really?
Yeah,
do you remember that? I mean, do you remember like the first time you read that you read the story? Or you read her email?
Her communication, yeah, she was leaving texts on my Google Circle or whatever that one was. You know, it was the only place you could find me that I had a current, post. And she's like, you know, you're real close, but everything's off by one, you know. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to talk to this person. Because my stuff I consider to be rather accurate. So I'm off by one, huh?
Uh-oh.
So, of course, he's been doing this for like decades, and I'm like, you know, dipping my toe in the pool for a year, and I'm like, I got all the answers. I got some notes for you.
And you really did. I mean, so then you met after that?
Yeah, I did. I found his Google, I think it's Google Plus page, and I started commenting on the videos because it was hard to find him because he uses a pen name, and there weren't any contact info. Wasn't any contact info with the book, so I saw that he had recently posted a video, so I thought it was my best bet to get a hold of him, and so I just started like writing on the thing, and he responded to me. He sent me his he sent me an email, and then I with his phone number, and I called him, and it was an instant recognition. I mean, it was funny because the first time I saw his photograph, I got really angry. I was like, oh my God, no, not again. Like,
not you again.
Like, I don't know, I had some beef from the last time we did this, I guess. And so, but when we talked, it was just like an instant familiarity. Like we knew each other, and turns out we were the same person before. Like we were the male and female soul weaved into the same person. And so we're just used to being in close quarters, working closely together. And we've spent many, many lifetimes doing it. And so we came back for this one, for the big shebang, the grand finale.
The grand finale. So now you guys are both living in the same town?
Well, we're living in the same house.
We're living in the same house. Okay. I wasn't sure how all that was, but so how does it feel? I mean, does it feel like you guys are brother and sister, or?
Yeah, we call each other like we're mission mates. We have really, I mean, well, we've been traveling, we've been living together for the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning,
we haven't been apart since we first met.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And in the beginning, Spirit would send us all over the country. Like, we'd wake up in the morning and they'd tell us, okay, I need you to go here now. And so clearly we were doing some grid work, and every place where we went, we were meeting people that were part of the team that we were supposed to work with. So for a couple of months, we were just in a new place every day. And then we were down in Florida, where we really strengthened our relationships with the rest of our financial team. And they had us in Desert Hot Springs for a while, and we knew we'd eventually end up in Sedona because of visions that I had when we started this journey. And so
I had always been trying to get here too, because when I came 20 years ago, I felt a real deep connection, and other Egyptian experiences, have pinpointed this place too.
Yeah. So we've been here in Sedona now for 2 years. And yeah, so we work very closely together. A lot of people assume that we're a couple or that we're married, but we're not.
Too bad it wasn't romantic. That would have been a wild ride.
That would have been a lot easier, maybe.
Or it would have just gotten in the way. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
The perspective shifts at that point. All the expectations come in, but maybe not because you guys are so evolved. But that's
yeah, I think that can be kind of confusing for people in the beginning. Like I know this whole like concept of twin flames. I don't think that they're necessarily romantic. It's just a very profound connection that you have with somebody else.
I'm so tired. I mean, honestly, that idea has been so seeded with, it was soulmate. Now it seems to be twin flame, and it just seems like, I don't know. Anyway, so I think you're right.
Well, I believe we're a bunch of duplicates running around anyway. So
yeah, I don't know. I think you guys are a little more, or a little different than most of the duplicates running around.
But, you know, theoretically, if we all came from these 12 males and 12 females, we're bifurcated in, you know, shards of these originals. And and anyway, I say that because I've met many that I felt was my twin, but yeah, we just didn't dance the way I imagined.
Maybe we came out in the first round of copies.
You know, you and I talked about that, because I was telling you that I feel like there are, like, I've been saying that since I was 20, and that I would meet different people, and they were like 6 sets. That's it. 6 sets of people. And I'd meet this guy, and I would like that guy because he reminded me of that guy. And then I liked that friend because she reminded me of that friend. But now I feel like there are different templates coming. It's like things have shifted. I meet folks that I've never seen before.
And of course, raising your, you know, own level of conscious awareness is the missing piece. You know, to meet somebody that you really resonate with, but then they're, you know, on the same conscious awakened level, makes a world of difference. And so, yeah.
And that's a little harder. Okay, so your background and the people you work with and you have worked with, I mean, beginning, it sounds like with your father, I mean, going all the way back, your dad sounds like is a remarkable man. And so
well, we recently got some information that he, like the system that he invented, he brought from the other side, basically. That system runs everything upstairs.
So that's a banking system, or
it's more of a all-in-one solution for information technology that he brought, you know, to this plane in 1967, and it's just been predominant in a lot of ways. It's ran many, many industries, let alone that it, you know, runs the Pentagon and is used by different agencies and the IRS and the likes. But it just, you know, is really unique in how it works, and it's so easy, and it's so fast and so skinny. It's just really advanced in many ways.
Do you mind if I ask, just to clarify, when you say system, do you mean software system, or?
Yeah, it's a complete system. It was the first of everything. If people have an interest to look it up, they can just Google on YouTube killer app, and you'll find it.
Killer app. Okay. I'll post a link to that.
All right. I can provide it. You know, still used widely today. And anyway, so that gave me the opportunity to, because I learned it over the dinner table. You know, I went to work at the Pentagon when I was 23 and worked on their accounting system. So
in comes the banking side and the finance side.
And then when I was 25, I went to work at the Defense Intelligence Agency, and there it is the logistics system, and it runs all the tracking of all armed forces, equipment and personnel globally. So yeah, I mean, it's been interesting because I didn't like working there. I could feel the energies of many weird things that were going on there. And, you know, it was after about 20 plus years of doing that type of business that I said, I don't really want to follow in my father's footsteps. I wanted to be more creative because I had all this spiritual awakening thing that was happening. Similar stories to Miss M, where I was, well, first of all, I had conscious activation happening at a very young age, and I was remembering past lives. You know, I guess that was really important to, you know, remember what I've done in the past, and that it was all connected to now. And then, you know, when I met this cosmic scientist, time traveler, And we, you know, traveled from job to job. He lived with me. He was kind of a trust baby and worked underground, and we hung out. But he, you know, was telling me glimpses of the future, my future. And so all of that, I guess, inspired me to sort of quit the IT industry for a while, and I moved to Hollywood because I wanted to tell my story about the one that I was writing pertaining to me, the other half of the equation, this woman that would, you know, be the key to unlock everything, I guess, in a sort of
your call.
Yeah, and that right there, because I wanted to tell such wild stories, I was meeting a lot of producers and significant people in Hollywood, and I'm like, you know, and this is like in 89, you know, I mean, back when 2000 and the scare that the computers were going to crash when the digital,
Y2K,
you know, right?
99.
Oh yeah, 99.
Yeah.
There's been a few decades to account for here, so pardon me.
it's hard to run together. It's just time. There's no such thing.
Yeah, so in 99, exactly, I was in Hollywood land and telling these producer types, I want to use this most powerful medium to like deliver positive spiritual messages, you know, conscious media, long before anybody else was bringing the term up or inventing terms or whatever. And they looked at me like I had 9 heads. You know, you're crazy. Films are about making money. I'm like, no, I'm planning on, you know, delivering positive, transformative information through them. Okay, well, good luck with that. And so I was like, well, Spirit, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to provide me $100 million so I can make one of these amazing films and tell the story about, you know, opening the Hall of Records and all this kind of amazing stuff that I'd been writing about. And anyway, so that led me to meeting people that talked about these kinds of numbers in finance. And that's how I got brought into the new banking system that was being developed at that time.
Okay, that's a big segue. So what I see is like, wait, what did you say? No, I just see this. Don't you feel like there's this invisible hand that is going, nope, 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 wait. Okay, come in, cue right, let's go, you know, stage right. And it is this, because you were calling out to her. I mean, you were saying, okay, I need you.
Oh yeah, I was like, I'm frankly to the whole team, you know, I know it's about a whole council of people. And so I've always been like, okay, where are they? I feel like I'm a lone wolf in the woods. What's going on here? For a couple decades, I was just like, wow, I'm this wide awake and I'm just waiting. In fact, I would have channel sessions and ask the guides, when is this going to happen? And they're like, well, like in a decade. And then a decade would roll around and I would have another channel session. Okay, it's happening, right? About that. It's another decade. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Come on.
What am I supposed to do? And that happened 3 times. And so here we are 3 decades later.
I had the snooze until 1983.
Yeah, exactly. You were busy doing something else. You were off. But you know what though? I recently, suicide's been a big thing, and I keep hearing about it, and I keep and a friend of mine lost someone very young. She was 21, and she took her life, and so I was able to find her. She asked me, she can see too, but she said, I can't because of my grief. And she was right there. And what she told me, she said, yeah, we all came. There are a lot of us that came, but we got here and it wasn't right. It kind of like we showed up, but the tools weren't there. And she said, so we left. So a lot of us, and so I was talking to another friend and she said, my son has had 9 friends that have taken their lives. And her son's 23. And I think that, so I applaud you for staying. I mean, and waiting it out for 3 decades.
Well, I guess what helped in that is remembering past lives, you know, and prominent roles in these spiritual movements where my conviction and dedication is just so deep that, you know, I've never even considered that exit plan.
Sure. And that's, man, though, I look at people like James Gilliland. I don't know why I can't say his last name, but he comes to mind. That, I mean, they've just been banging the drum now for so long, and at some point, don't you get frustrated? I mean,
of course. I mean, we've had many failures, hundreds and hundreds of, you know, attempts and failures. So
we've really perfected that.
The failure part. Well,
patience has become a virtue.
Well, and you just have to keep going.
Yeah, you do. Well, and I think that it's been my experience that first you have to get the thunk, and then you wake up and you start to look around and think, wait a minute, something's not right. And then you go, and then it gets really dark really fast. And I know that it's like you pull this thread, and the deeper I go, the deeper and the darker it gets. And then I start getting angry because, like, how can you people not see this? And so finally, this kind of sounds bizarre, but Jesus came in. I think I told you about this. And he said, stop. If you need to know, we will tell you 3 times. And then he said it 3 different ways, 3 different times. Like, see what I did there. He's actually kind of funny. But he said, you're getting, yeah, he really does. I'm supposed to talk to him on a different show tomorrow. I just asked the questions. Anyway, so, but he said, you're of the light. You bring the light. You're getting like you're absorbing all of it. So how do you guys stay knowing what you know? And I really do want to kind of go in, I want to unpack that, as they say, but how do you not succumb to the dark and the sliminess of what you guys see on a constant basis?
Well, I would say, we're focused on solutions. We're focused on rebuilding. We're focused on shining light everywhere. And and this is part of the reason why we came forward, why we started talking about what it is that we do. It's because we, living here in Sedona for the last couple of years, have been really exposed a lot more to the alternative circuit and the messages coming out of our collective side, and a lot of it was really negative, and a lot of it was, it made me feel like I think people listening to this don't want to even try, because what's the point? We present this like insurmountable task to people and then tell them that they're never going to succeed, and that's what they start to believe. And so I thought there's plenty of reasons for people to be hopeful. There's plenty of reasons for us to celebrate the little victories that we've had, and we are the ones we've been waiting for. So it's up to us to stand up and get ready and go and do and make the changes in the world that we want to see, the ones that we came here, that we were programmed to do. And so, and everything is about perspective, right? Like, even with these people that are unfortunately opting out of their contracts, as I like to call it, even if the game changed while you're here, the earth is a beautiful place, and happiness is a choice that happens inside of you.
Yep.
And so if let's say the job didn't pan out, enjoy the ride here. There's plenty of ways for your soul to grow and expand here. And that's why you came in the first place. Like, yes, the mission is secondary to the incarnation here. Like, third density planets like ours exist for a reason, and it's so that the soul can have an opportunity to grow. And so
and don't forget the great food and great sex, although there hasn't been that much of the latter over the last decade, but the great food, and she's a great cook, by the way.
Okay, I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. No. That's on you. You create your own world, buddy.
Well, what's funny too, I'm just so busy, how are you going to
save the world?
I don't make time. I make time for the dinner, but anyway, barely.
But we go through initiations here, and part of this journey for us has been losing everything, letting go of everything, because it's about realizing what it is that you actually need as opposed to what you think you need, and so I hope that everybody can power through those initiations, and we learn to find happiness in the moment, because when you get whittled down to nothing, you really are living right in the moment. So you're just figuring it out day to day.
But do you think that is a paradigm that everyone has to go through in order to?
No, I don't think so. I think the bigger your responsibility and the more you're entrusted with, the more you're going to be tested. Mm-hmm. So if you want to show up and embrace a larger capacity, be ready.
but we are, I think it is important also to recognize our current ascension process is different than it has been on the planet for a long time. For a long time, ascension meant abstaining from human pleasures and sitting in meditation and being cloistered and isolated throughout your life and not really partaking. But here in this reality, we're in this current climate, we are ascending in the 3D world with 3D stimulation and overcoming those things. So our financial relationship, our relationship with money is a part of that.
Right.
And so yeah, there's some of it I think everybody will go through to a degree.
Well, because it really does take a thunk on the head in order to get your attention. And I think whether it's an illness or a death or a job loss or something, it does kind of humble you. And so, but it is, I know that is what I've rejected completely, is that idea that I have to go sit in a cave somewhere, because if we're all sitting in the same damn cave, then where's the light, you know? And so and I do think that it will recharge, like talking with you guys, it just fills my bucket. And then I can go back out into the world and be normal, but not. And it's this energetic coding that I think, and we've talked about this, that we carry, and it lifts hopefully other people around without even knowing that they're being lifted. And it's nothing that we do or me. I mean, it's not an ego piece. It is a, look, guys, we need to get on with this. I don't know. Anyway, so now there is not a lot out there with you guys. So you have been rather quiet, because it seems like the market can get, everywhere you look, you can find who you're looking for. And there really isn't a lot out there, especially you, Em.
Well, I've had to keep it that way, but I got, sort of a green light to start coming out more. And, we've been kind of strategic about that, I guess. And now we have, even more clearance to, talk about certain things. We do get a lot of intel that, we can't speak about. There are a lot of great things happening behind the scenes, stay tuned. There's going to be, the Q drops and all that, which are very accurate. And the things that are coming up, over the holidays, let's just say, are going to be rather surprising and have been well anticipated.
Yeah. I started looking for these, months ago, but it is. And then we're like, wait a minute, isn't this supposed to happen? So, okay. So when I spoke with you,
everybody knows what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Swamp, addressing the corruption, the white hat movement. Yeah.
And I cannot tell you how, look, I grew up in Houston. The Bushes live not too far from us. I mean, it is very conservative. And everyone I know, they bitch and moan about Trump, can't stand him. And I keep saying, wait a minute, hold on. And I can't tell you how many rubs I get. It is just, there are just things, I don't know what they are, but there are things going on, and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. But it gets tough. I mean, it really does get tough. And so do you guys know who Q is? Never mind. Don't answer that. But I have an idea, but I think everybody has their idea. So going back, when you and I spoke, you said, yes, we're working with people high up. And I kept thinking, okay, in a different dimension and dream state. You're like, no, here, now. And so then much, like at the very end, I was like, okay, now tell me again. Now here you're working with people in this realm. You're like, yes, we're working with people. So you guys get intel and give intel from both the galactics. So you're part of a council there, and then also here on the planet. Damn, yes. There it is. That's the mic drop spot right there, where the two worlds meet. That's incredible. You guys are the point.
Well, it's amazing because the galactics tell us stuff that happens. It always happens. It seems to be happening sooner and sooner. When we first started to get a lot of forecasts, it was about a month. And now it's even been down to a week or days. So it's pretty profound. And it gets confirmed by our intel sources, so we know about it. before our intel knows about it, or before they tell us anyway. And then, yeah, it's been amazing. And so, you know, we want to have those drops, as it were, as points that are very encouraging. That's why we started to do this, you know, that we could, everybody's thirsty for the truth. You know, we want to satiate that desire to encourage people that great things are happening.
Yeah.
So I know that David Wilcox has talked about the new banking system, and that things will go down for about 2 weeks to have kind of your water and your food for 2 weeks, and then it'll come back up and there will be a new system and a lot of new things. How do you
we don't necessarily subscribe to some of the things that those guys are saying. Mm-hmm. We've tried to reach out to give them some intel that we have, but it hasn't been fully opened or received yet. But we see things a little bit differently, a little more positive, I would have to say, you know, and we're also involved in the plans to have it be more positive. So we want to coordinate with people that, you know, have the ability to reach people and the ability to affect change in a positive way. And, you know, that's another reason we've done this. And we've, you know, in our last segment, we put out, hey, we'd like to be on more shows. So thank you for listening. And, but, you know, coordination and more organization of this movement has been something I've been talking about, you know, behind the scenes for a few decades. Like, we already have a lot if we were more organized. And that's some of the things we're going to be doing with the systems we're going to be building, is creating solutions that enable us to be more organized and securely communicate and the like. And, but yeah, we have a lot of work to do, and we have the systems to implement. And another thing that probably could benefit being addressed, you know, everybody's talking about this quantum financial system. Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist. We're building it. You know, it's not done yet. So, you know, I have trouble with all these RV and redemption and, you know, all this aspect of that's a fallacy, and disinformation that's suggesting that certain things are at levels that they're not. Mm-hmm. We're well aware where everything is, and you know, we're wanting to share those kinds of messages too, that there are positive things happening, and we are implementing many of them, and you know, we're eager to finish. And so things are being done now that are going to enable us to finish and start these things in the new year. Would you like to add to any of those remarks?
Yeah, I always have stuff to say.
She usually does most of the time, by the way.
Well, okay, yeah. So, you know, according to what we know about what's going on behind the scenes and our galactic friends, we're not having anybody prep for some doomsday scenario. That's not really it. And we expect, and we have been like pushing for an easy transition through all of this. And so I think that, you know, there's this, like, I don't know, this romanticism with nihilism in this movement, and I think it's because people are so fed up that they just want to see everything stop,
crash and burn and build again.
Yeah, and so I think that's why that myth gets propagated so much. But it's it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't need to be that terrible. And going back even to like what you're saying about having a difficult time finding information about M or myself out there, you know, it was really difficult to get our story out. Nobody wanted to tell our story. We approached quite a few people. Tolik finally took a chance on us, which we really appreciate, and to get out there. But I can't tell you how many people we talked to and sat down with. And
I even tried my friend Carrie Cassidy of many years, you know, over a decade. I'm like, hey, you know, I couldn't tell you things back then when I knew you, but I can tell you now. You want to listen? And she didn't, you know, have, I don't know, the patience to hear the depth and breadth of the story, let alone that it's what. Well, it's a profound story, and it's hard to grasp, you know. So you want to see if it's credible. There's all these reasons.
There's that, and it's like, you know, and and so much of it has been done so quietly that there really isn't a way to verify necessarily what we're saying. But also, I think, and this is another reason for not wanting to come out publicly as a team, is that, you know, there's no roadmap for what we're doing. We're the ones doing it. We're the ones blazing the trail. And so, like we said earlier, there's been a lot of failures on this path. Like, and so doing it in front of everybody is like, unfortunately, you know, the people that are consuming this content, a lot of them are just like, have become like rabid with, and maybe it's because they've been lied to so much that they think that that, you know, this is, maybe they're just more like not as easily opening up to a new story or a new idea, or they thought, you know, one person had come out and finally told them the truth and we're conflicting what they're saying. And so there's just a lot of stuff. I don't know. I oftentimes, like, I don't watch videos. I'll go down to the comment section and I'll read the comments, because it gives me an idea of where the consciousness of the people is. And
good idea.
And I'm just like, okay, we still have a lot of work to do. These people aren't getting the message. They're just angry. And so putting yourself out there for that is not really like it's not really the funnest thing to do. Like,
you know what though? It is,
scrutiny.
well, it's a paradigm. I mean, everybody kind of going, it's supposed to crash. It's supposed to be scary. The doomsdayers, like, we know how to do that. How many shows have we seen that's what happens? You know, everything does have to be ripped apart in order to go back together. And I completely get that. But if your message is one that's a little bit softer and kinder, I see where people may have a harder time with that. Though the other one didn't fit me. I didn't, it's like, I don't want that reality. I don't want to hoard water. I don't want to, you know, that's Mad Max was not a movie I liked, and I don't want to like that. But at the same time, I think that, look, as far as a lot of people go, you guys are doing, they're consuming. And I don't mean to be rude about that with them, but for you guys to do and to come out takes guts, and you're doing, and it's easy for people to sit back and sit behind their screens and just sit and wait for everybody else to do the work, and you're doing the work, and it is phenomenal. I mean, and we haven't even really scratched the surface of what you're doing. I mean, that's really the cool part. Anyway, so kudos. And I'm glad that you came out. And there was something I found. Who was it? And he said that he did an interview with you, and then you went underground for a year. And then I think you did another one. That
was Dave Schmidt. And he's a friend of ours, and that's not exactly accurate either. It's like we, the day after appeared on that show, Dave was run off the road on his motorcycle. And so he had been on the air for, I don't know, a decade talking about RV stuff. And the first time he has us on the air, he gets attacked. And so we didn't go underground so much as we were looking for someone else that would put us on air after that happened. And so yeah, it wasn't necessarily a retreat. It was just
well, again, we've been doing things as strategic as possible, and you know, again, getting the green light for when it's time to reveal more. And so yeah, it's not exactly what happened, but
and I really didn't go that far into it. I was
well, just, I mean, you know, I talked to him the other day, and he says he's got a few people that don't like what he's doing. So it's hard to say exactly what happened, but no, we didn't exactly go underground, I guess is the point.
You just sort of, everybody kind of backed off. Well, okay, I'm going to shift gears here a bit. So when we talk about a new system, can you tell me or give me an idea of what that actually looks like? Like, how will our daily lives either be enhanced or change?
Well, really, it's about security. It's about making things easier. It's about having more versatility. And, you know, we're envisioning a system that's like a meta level. It's a meta platform. It has all these things that people are talking about incorporated into it. And so that would be new forms of cryptocurrency, new levels of security, new internet, you know, new ways to communicate with higher broadband, new devices that are more advanced, you know, and all these things exist already. Mm-hmm. So we've been amalgamating and assembling the best of the best to implement a true global solution. And so the finance component is very important, but it's only one layer. And there's many, you know, layers to this whole super system.
I think that it's important to highlight, well, the importance of technology in this whole revolution that's taking place. It's what created the information age. It's what connected people. It's what allowed them to share ideas with each other. It's literally sparked revolutions in different parts of the world. And so what we want to do is to create an internet and a platform that is for the people and not a tool to suppress them or surveil them or control the narrative. We want it to be a free space for people, and we want people to be able to
one example I give there is, you know, I call it negative profiling, the surveillance. And they have all this information on us and they use it to learn all these things that works against us. What if we had the ability to have all the same information, access to it, that enabled us to benefit ourselves? Like if I wanted to find, you know, a resource or something, I would have a much easier time. It could even be pushed to my phone if it knew what I was looking for, instead of pushing to my phone that, oh, I see that, you know, you bought a Christmas tree today. Would you like some bulbs?
Right. Right. Consumerism. So not just for that. So, but don't we have that to a degree? I mean, can't we find everything, or do you think it's so controlled that we don't?
There's many aspects that would enhance that are being used against us behind the scenes that we should have access to, and we will. And better, even.
And access to information is empowering, and right now we're not accessing all the information that's out there. I mean, our search engines are only searching 5 to 15% what's on the internet, and we can do better. Why, we shouldn't have things pushed to us because they paid for advertising. If I want to know something, I want to be able to look and find it, and so we have, we're creating an intelligent search engine that actually does a real in-depth search and answers your question rather than just pushing you some things that are loosely related to what you asked. And so I've always believed that knowledge is power, and the more access we have to it, the better. And another aspect of what we want to do and what we are doing is creating a blanket of Wi-Fi connection for the entire globe that is safe for you, that's not
5G. We lovingly call it 8G. It's like leaps and bounds ahead of 5G.
Yeah. So, and we want, our plan is to make these things part of the infrastructure so that everyone can have access to them, and we can create a real global community that people are not excluded from, and everybody can get education at the tip of their fingers.
That would be beautiful. So I have a question, and this is going to come off, I know, ugly, but if everybody was healthy, how would we survive? Like, if people in a healthy way live to be 200, what would happen to our resources?
Can I take this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There is a study that was conducted a long time ago with mice, and as long as there is enough, we would not have 7.5 billion people on this planet if we could not sustain them with the resources that we have. So our resources are directly connected to the amount of our population. Now, I have talked recently a lot about this and the technologies and everything and the implications of what we're doing. And I think about that, and we consider the gravity of what we're putting out there. So when we're talking about introducing med beds that will heal everything and eliminate the pharmaceutical and medical communities, or industries, I should say. And that's a big change, and that frees people up to live longer and have, you know, higher quality of life. But when you're talking about introducing something like a dream bed that reverses their age, we really do need to think about the implications of that. How many people should have that capability? How many, when you're giving eternal life, you're granting cumulative knowledge and cumulative wealth that creates a lot of power, which can put things out of balance. And so we need to consider who should be a candidate for something like that. And I think we need to look to the mystery schools, where the information was granted and based on initiations of the soul. So the more balanced you were, the more you got to know and the more power you were able to utilize. And then when we're talking about introducing something like a replicator technology, what does that mean for the environment when we can just print out whatever we want? Are we just going to have piles of trash everywhere? Are people going to have incentive to do anything with their lives if they don't have to work for anything? We need to really consider, are we taking away people's free will? Are we eliminating the purpose that the planet was initially created for? I believe that Earth is meant to be a meritocracy. I think meritocracy reflects the ascension process more than any other system. And so right now we have a situation where we're living in like predatory capitalism. We're living in an unfair, unbalanced system where we have predators. So what we need to do is balance it, level the playing field, and guarantee equal opportunity for everyone on the planet, but not equal outcome. Because equal outcome is not freedom. It's not incentivizing, and it eliminates your potential for growth. And so we need to consider all of these things while we're building a new world. And that's why we're a collective, why we're a team considering these things.
So how big is your team?
Well, some come and go, and so it's roughly about a dozen now.
Yeah.
That's not very big.
And of course it's not just us making these decisions either. I should clarify that. We're one faction of the alliance that is working together to create the new world. And also another reason why we came out publicly is to invite other people to participate and to contribute. So it's not that everybody doesn't have an opportunity to contribute and voice their concerns and also offer solutions. It's just that, you know, we do have to have some sort of structure in place to implement and make things happen. If we didn't need systems or governing bodies, we wouldn't have them. And I think that you know, they serve a purpose, but they can be for good.
I guess the only thing I want to add to that is we do have hundreds and hundreds of advanced new technologies that could be deployed, but you know, it's like, when do you deploy them, at what level, in what way? So, you know, we're looking for creating a council that makes those decisions and has advisors to the councils that are you know, experts in industry and the like, so that we don't disrupt everything.
But how does the balance, how do you ensure that the balance won't end up like it is now, where a few hold the power?
Well, that is a challenge, but what we bring to that, and the people that we work with are very conscious, you know, they're very evolved, they have expanded hearts, they're doing it for the people, you know, if there's an ounce of greed, those people spin out. That's why I say coming and going of people, because you're really tested. You know, are you here to be a steward of positive change for humanity, or are you really secretly, you know, wanting to be the next czar?
Mm. And some people probably don't even know. They don't know the answer to that. But yeah. You know, it's interesting. I had this vision 4 or 5 years ago, and I'll cut to it. It was basically, I was waiting for a hurricane to hit. It was sort of that feeling of holding your breath. And I was with my family, and we were driving down the road, and all of a sudden we flipped. We knew something was supposed to happen, but it was kind of like Y2K, you know, is it really? It did. And it felt like flipping off the end of a board into a pool. And I ended up in this other world, and this she was wearing this robe and white, real short hair. And she reminded me of Judi Dench. And she asked me if I knew where I was. And I said, no clue. And and I've heard you guys describe this, but it was like the air was sparkly and clean and beautiful. And she said, well, we have pulled some people off and you peeked behind the curtain, so to speak. So we pulled you off, and basically the greed, and she showed me the planet, and it was the kind of like a dark cloud. And she said, it's gotten so out of balance that kind of they were scrapping it. And she said, do you have any questions? And in the meantime, my kids were itty bitties and they ran in. I woke up, a husband took them, and I went back to sleep and went right back in. And she asked me about the questions, and I said, do I have a house? She said, yeah, you have anything you want. And I asked, and she was also explaining how when they put technology, they would put it in different parts of the earth, like they would seed the earth with it kind of around. And let's see, what else? There was something else. And she said, eventually everybody would come. She said, eventually everybody will come, and that they had a tracking on our phone. You could track where folks were, and I asked her if they knew where she was. And she said, no. She said, we can see them, but they can't see us. So it's very much in line. You guys might have more to add to that. I had no idea. It was just a really cool dream. And then I saw an ad for a show Taken. I'm like, that's like my dream. And, but it sounds sort of like what you're creating or what you're helping to create here. You're smiling.
Your dog's on your.
Oh, can you see her?
That's okay.
That's Skittles. Yeah. She's always with me.
So I got distracted. Well, I talked about that. Talked about, a couple of years ago, I had, like Jesus came to me and took me to this new world, to this place, and showed it to me, and it was very pristine, and the air was very breathable, and the water was just like crystal clear, and it was just, there was no pollution or anything, and it was such a beautiful place. And it was kind of just like showing me that this is what we can have, this is what we can be when we're done, this is what the world can look like when we're done with what we're doing. And I do believe that we are moving and transitioning into that now. And I'm just very careful. Like I think like what you're saying with everybody that's coming on their own terms, like they're kind of coming at their own time to come into the new existence is good, because it's like, yeah, it's all of our jobs to take steps to get there, but it's a door that's open to anybody that does. And so I like that kind of concept better than the rapture idea of like the chosen ones being taken and all the other assholes getting left behind. Like,
exactly.
I just don't, I don't really subscribe to that. And it's not really the messaging or that we've come to the earth so many times to share, and that the galactics are sharing with us now. Like, it's all about one. We're all one. And it was Sai Baba who told me that when we are one, then we are done. And so when we all get there is when it's like game over. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think we're cutting the lower dimensions? I mean, is that really the idea? Is that, let's say if there's I'm just going to use numbers just because it's easy, but if there's like 3, 4, 5, like once we kind of discard 3, then we just all keep rising up. I mean, that's the end goal, right? I mean, just to ascend while we're still here.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an ascension of consciousness. It's not necessarily about turning the body into light, and while the masters can do those sorts of things, and while they may even be embodied now, that's not the plan. That's, the plan is a global approach, taking everybody with, having everybody be able to lift their consciousness and expand their heart for unity consciousness, and not just check out, like, snap my fingers and I'm gone. No, it's about joining the movement. And the movement is about, as we talk about in the show, we talk about the fact that we've done this before multiple times over, and we're further than we've ever been. And the reset in the past was because we didn't have enough people waking up. And so that's it. You know, we really are about having more love. You know, it's always been about love, and clearly we're seeing that, you know, but it's through media and through communication and education that we expand that awareness. And, you know, bringing an understanding to more tools, whether it be mystery school or activation tools like we have the Seventh Seal, which shifts people's, have you experienced that? Do you know about what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. I've come across it, but no, I've not experienced it.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the movie The Seventh Seal. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Well, you know, the seventh seal is the crown chakra, and so all the chakras, as they open, the Kundalini rises, and it creates many things. You know, opening the third eye would be one of them, so that you can see more, or opening your crown so you can be connected more, excuse me, to your divine consciousness. Your higher self and oversoul self can more easily embody you. When these gateways or portals or whatever you want to imagine, like the eighth soul star above the head, you know, when that comes online and all these align, then you can be, you know, more of your multidimensional self. And so this seventh seal activator tool that I speak about opens you up to your multidimensional self by clearing these centers.
And you guys offer this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That would be at my website, 7sealcodes.com. 7sealcodes.com.
I didn't know that you could use an actual number.
In fact, here's what that upgraded version looks like. We have a new one that you sit on, or you hold it over your heart or over your head, and people experience the energy. If you sit on it, it begins to activate the Kundalini energy at the base of the spine, and that begins to come up and clear and open and activate all these centers.
And then hold on, because life is about to get really interesting.
Exactly. The things that occur are your synchronicity, you know, seeing numbers or whatever, the way that the universe and your guides communicate with you is accelerated, and your highest path and purpose come more into alignment and show up faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. It really does. And I do know too that you guys are involved. You have a solstice that you can live stream, that anybody can be a part of, and that's on Friday, the 21st.
Well, and what's so powerful about that is MsM has found her musical passion. No, I'm just teasing, because she's always had a really powerful, amazing voice, but to combine it all together into a sound healing experience, because she's also played these bowls when we do a combined activation clearing. She has the ability to go and pull, you know, implants, remove negative entities. There's just all sorts of things that are going on in these multidimensional aspects of reality that could be interfering with our progress. And so she's got these skills, and so we combine these things together. But at these activations, we also do one, the 22nd of every month, we do a meditation where there's now 300 people around the globe that are meditating with the seal on the 22nd, because the 22nd, these cusps are times when the veils are thinner. And it's also interesting too, because sacred geometry and numerology and the zodiac, they're all interconnected, and there's a divine source code that weaves through all that. And in fact, in some of my upcoming videos, there's a Saint Germain code and sequence that I've remembered or discovered. It's kind of a combination of things that reveals that these systems are all interconnected. Mm-hmm. And even on the Cosmic Disclosure, they talk about how, you know, we don't have a complete understanding of the things like the zodiac and the way that these portals and gateways open, has to do with hyperdimensional math and sacred geometry. And so my book and everything that I've done and remembered is all about, a deeper, more profound understanding of these types of things. And so we really combine our gifts in these two things we're describing.
Yeah, it's been really fun this year to explore the sound journeys and open up to that. And so on the 21st at 7 p.m., our live stream goes live, and we have some local sound healers and musicians that are playing with us who are absolutely amazing. And it just feels really great to be in it and to experience it. And it's something that also Spirit has been pushing a lot, exposing yourself to different frequencies, exposing yourself to different sounds, helping people on their activation and their expansion, by giving them, a little push, a little taste, a little dose of the music. And it's been really great to do it, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So I'm participating in another event on January 19th called Project Manifest. I'm playing with the Project Manifest Orchestra, and this is a really amazing sound journey with tons of very talented musicians bringing their gifts to the stage. So, and this is something that we're planning to do around the country and around the globe, going to different places and activating them and activating the people, doing massive meditations and activations. And it's something Spirit's called for as well. They started talking about this last year, or I guess it was the year before, the solar eclipse,
last August? No, year ago August? Last August?
Yeah.
No,
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a year ago. I kept losing track of time, man. So they illuminated how powerful an event it was because of the fact that millions of people stopped what they were doing to focus their attention on something, and if you unified fashion for the sole purpose of it was something beautiful and rare. And it's so. Yeah.
Celestial events. Yeah, there's been many, of course, right, with the alignments and gateways. I mean, the one that maybe people don't know about, back in 1992, the first planetary alignment of 1111 was actually January 11th. This woman, Solara, wrote a book about it, and that if enough people meditated and held the space, there would be a great transformation. In fact, many were saying if there's not 144,000, we're going to scrap this thing and reset it again. And so there, clearly there was, but these kinds of planetary activations and alignments are things that the spiritual community has been paying more and more attention to. And of course, we just had the Golden Gate, November 22nd, which was an alignment to the central sun, and the Egyptian calendar highlights a couple of these gates: Silver Gate, the Golden Gate. Of course, the 22nd cusp, these are mini gates. And so all this stuff is knowledge that we're remembering and being exposed to, that's so key for collectively uniting and awakening our divinity.
Oh, you know what I just saw? So when we all do that, no matter where we are, it pulls us up to a baseline, a common baseline. And so that is why, and it's almost this portal. It's like we have this portal. We have this. I love this. I want to be a part of this. I am definitely going to sign up for this, because this sounds just beautiful.
Awesome.
Yes, and this is. Is there anything else that you would like to say? I mean, I feel like we scratched about 10 different surfaces, but there are many rabbit holes we could go down, and I don't know that we did everything justice. I mean, what can we be doing? What can you? I mean, how can we help you?
Okay. Well, we are asking that anybody that would like to be considered for project funding submit a profile. If you want to just visit deepdisclosure.com, which is the same place where you can gain access to our live stream. We'll give you the details there about our current enrollment process. And other than that, other than working on your own personal projects and getting them ready to launch, Spirit is calling for people to get their emotional houses in order. We have some major waves coming. One's touching down this solstice. I know, right? And there's another big one coming before the main event, the big solar event that Spirit said would happen probably, they said within 6 months of November is when they told me. So they're really encouraging people to get your emotional bodies in order, emotional houses in order, because what happens with these solar events is they basically, it's a wave of consciousness. So it's lifting you up to a higher level of consciousness. And when that happens, it's putting everybody kind of through like a mini life review. And I know that everybody's felt the emotional strain of these waves as they've happened over the last couple of years. And so if any of those have been intense for you, just wait, because this one is even bigger. And so we need to be the best versions of ourselves that we can before it happens, so that we can optimize the light that's coming in and grow as much as we possibly can, and also so we can make it smooth transition, so it's easier for us. So yeah, take inventory, look at yourself, be honest with yourself. If there's something that you need to change it. If there's something you're not happy with, make a change, do it. Practice self-honesty and practice gratitude and remember to be kind to each other. Especially, like, you know, I see a lot of this stuff on the alternative stuff, and they're attacking Corey, and they're attacking David, and they're attacking Emery, and they're attacking anybody who goes up there and puts themselves on the line for the movement and starts and is trying to, you know, spread consciousness. It's like, we're all on the same side. And we're not infallible. So if we make a mistake, forgive us and support each other and be nice to each other. Stop being so mean.
Assume the best, not the worst.
Yeah. Just be kind, and that will help you. It's so, like, I talk to people, you know, I do something that I call a divine initiation package, where I help people expand their consciousness and access their gifts. And one thing that I will tell people is that I didn't really have any training going into this. I was able to expand and access these things by simply being a good person and vibrating at the right frequency to do these things. And so that is all we really need to do. I know it's so complicated. Everything out there is so much information and all these different avenues, but the one easy one, maybe, or the simplest one, is to just be a good person. And that elevates you to a higher level of consciousness.
Absolutely. And it's easy. I mean, well, it's not maybe as easy as we think it is, but it is.
I think it's easy in concept. It's harder in application, like easy in theory, harder in practicality, but it's something that's possible.
Well, and don't you feel, I mean, I feel like when things get triggered, it's an opportunity. I really try not to waste it. I mean, summer seemed like a beast wave-wise, and the fall, there's been so much change. And I know for me right now, I am underground. I mean, I am under. I've kind of said no to everything. And so
So yeah, I mean, part of being human is experiencing that full emotional body that we have. And that's what makes so many other races intrigued with us. And I'm talking about like races off the planet. And so it's okay to feel things. And so many of us avoid feeling things out of fear. And that's, I believe, why we have so much addiction on this planet, is that so people are so afraid of feeling their feelings. But guess what? What's going to happen? You're not going to die if you feel uncomfortable for a minute. If you feel afraid, or if you feel anxious, or if you feel guilty, or if you feel embarrassed, like, you're not going to die. You're just going to feel uncomfortable for a minute. And then you'll get to the other side of it and you'll be stronger. So stop being afraid to feel things. Just go for it and feel it and process it and come out stronger.
I would add to that a few intersection points to a lot of the things you were saying. Firstly, mastering the emotional body is one of the key things to, whatever we want to call this ascension process, embodying more of your higher self, being braided with multidimensional aspects of yourself. Your higher selves from multi-dimensional levels wants to embody you and enable you to be more of a superhero for transformation. But the way that happens really is by what we're indicating here is that you have to get your emotional house in order so that your spiritual body, can then come online more. And another important segue to unifying and supporting the community, whether it be in your city or at large, is people should be doing gatherings and getting together with the like-minded people. And we do that here. We call it We Frequency. It's a local gathering that we do, and it's a potluck situation. And we share about our experiences and we network, our services and products. But it's about supporting this awakening process in your own community. And the other thing that I would mention is, the ascension symptoms rather of things like anxiety or things like feeling like you're crawling the walls. You just, there's so many weird experiences that come along with these waves and activations that you need to embrace. We talk about on our show different methods to ease that process. But I've been many years of awakening and feeling these energies and, freaking out sometimes, quite frankly. Like I feel like I'm going to die. I'm going to have a heart attack. The anxiety is too much. And I found ways to cope with that, as these big rushes of acceleration occur, whether taking a hot shower or, dropping some valerian root or passion flower or, just going out on the ground and taking your shoes off and grounding and breathing. And, these are all real things. You don't need to go to the emergency room,
Sometimes just talking about it, like even if it's just regular old anxiety and not coming from the ascension or the planetary stuff that's going on. Sometimes just saying out loud, "Hey guys, something's going on.
I'm losing it."
Yeah, it number one, it invites other people, if it is planetary, to share that they're also feeling that way, and that can help ease your suffering there, because okay, it's not me, it's not coming from inside me, it's something else that's going on, and I can handle this. And if not, then it also just sometimes like letting other people know, hey, I'm struggling. Like we're all here for each other, and so like nobody should be sitting in that alone, sitting in that feeling alone, and not and not asking for help. And so it's important just to say out loud, like, hey, my heart is racing and I need some help.
That happened, Sedona, at the conference. My resting heart rate was 135. And it's like, yeah, what's going on? Yeah. So it was, yeah. So that's interesting. And I didn't pin it to that. I just thought I don't know what I thought. Well, I think those are now how would people reach you guys? And I'll post all the links, but how should they reach you?
Well, you can write us at our emails. JermaineThrust@gmail is mine. And that's Jermaine without an E, one word.
Okay. And you can find all my contact info through my website, divinemsm.com, and it's MsM, .com.
It's not MRS.
Not yet. I like to keep them guessing. Just the MS. It's very it's very progressive.
And of course, deepdisclosure.com, where we have a list of our segments and updates, and where you can find the other things that we offer that can support your awakening.
Yeah.
Well, and I do want to say about that I didn't go very far into your stories, and the stories themselves are fascinating, and there's so many pieces to it and stuff that will blow your mind. So make sure you go to the website and check it out. There's a lot there. And I have about 5 different questions, but I will save it. Will y'all come back on my show?
We would love to. We love working with you.
Thank you. I do too. And you guys have to come to Houston.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.
Y'all really could come, and then we could put something together.
Cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to sign off. You guys hold tight. Guys, thank you, and reach out to them. They're fascinating, and I have had the honor of having a one-on-one with Miss M, and it will blow your mind, and it will blow you wide open. So check her out.
Very touched.
Well, it's really true. I mean, the dreams, I got to tell you about the dreams, but anyway, so thank you guys.
Oh, speaking of dreams, if you get the 7th seal, by the way, there's a smaller one you can put under your pillow, right? This one here, this is the new version of an upgraded one, but it gives you the most vivid dreams. It is really something, but you know, it also
we'll
gives
send you one, Carrie.
It also, yeah, we will. It also gives you energy. Some people are like, oh my God, I'm up all night. Well, then take it out under your pillow. Don't do that every night.
It's a seal. Only when you really need it. See, there's so much cool shit out there. Anyway, guys, thank you. Take care. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Many blessings.